art going on around. So we're approaching this library now. And this says Jupiter Archik Tens. Just smile a girl as you do. So these are like generally photos from the public. They go, they make photos and they put them into the frames and share it with the library. In 2017, I came back to Armenia from London, where I was teaching. I was studying journalism. As soon as I arrived, I was thinking, what shall I do next? Not just as a journalist, but as someone who is very much interested in social kind of activities as well as education. I was quite interested, even being in London, in what Teach for Armenia was doing. But actually, when I was back, I was just directly trying to find more information and the ways I could join in. But for a while, I didn't do that because I found another job as a librarian in a photo library. So I started working, and one day there was a lady, a girl, who visited the library as a reader. And there was a very random kind of a conversation in between us. We were talking about the different photographers, and I was suggesting different books to go through, and suddenly she just told me, I was teaching. So it kind of started from there, with that girl who started talking about her own experience, and she told me that was in cooperation with Teach for Armenia. So that was that point. We just again brought my motivation to go into details. And when I called the office, I realized that it's possible at that moment. But one thing was that at that year they wouldn't send anyone to Artsakh. So it was just the very first kind of a step to find cooperation with Artsakh and the Ministry of Education in Artsakh. So I just said, okay, I'll wait for another 1 year because I really wanted to start my educational, teaching experience in Artsakh. First, I wanted to live there. Second, I wanted to teach there because my first profession, I'm a teacher. And third, I wanted to find stories and to live with that people. And it worked out. So, and one very important thing was that the values that Teach for Armenia was considering for the fellows, for the staff, and in general, were very close to the values of my life.
If I could just crystallize it into one sentence, it would be recruiting talented individuals to solve very complex problems within education. As you can see from our vision and mission statement behind me, we are trying to transform opportunities for students across the country by finding people who are going to advocate for our students. The idea is that we put them through an intensive training program before the 2-year start, and we then place them in communities throughout the country to serve students from low-income communities. In Armenia in particular, we only place in rural communities. In the Armenian context, we've come to just recognize that within Yerevan, the city that we're in right now, a lot of opportunities concentrated within a very small area. In fact, the majority of the nation's wealth is concentrated within a few square kilometers of this office. When you go outside of Yerevan, infrastructure is not there, opportunities are not there, and more young people are having to leave their communities because there's not enough opportunity there. At Teach for Armenia, we want to change that. So at Teach for Armenia, part of our program is thinking about how are we creating opportunities for our students locally so that they don't have to leave their communities. So our whole model is this idea of creating community impact. How are we working with the community, with our students, in order to create innovation in every corner of the country?
So my first inspiration, of course, was the community itself. You know, I was a new person in the community, but I felt that I quickly am becoming a very important part of it in terms of my being there, my inputs there, and the way I was trying to accept what the community is giving to me. I was inspired by my students, most of all. They were like people who would give me, you know, that environment that I could create. Apart from teaching, that's another privilege of Teach for Armenia. We were mostly implementing project-based, like community-based projects, mostly taking into consideration, of course, what the community needs and wants and can help with. There were many projects, starting with creating the swing garden for the kids, the engineering laboratory, as well as bringing football as a way of humanitarian education to the community. Those are things that I was inspired, you know, people and activities that would make everyone kind of feel needed and happy. And the difficulties were, like, in overall, I would just sum up like this. There were like many smaller difficulties, like daily ones, but in general, the main difficulty for me was trying to take care of my time, in the sense that I could do even more than I did. So I was like struggling, oh goodness, for today, did I do my best? Could I do it better? It was like that kind of a difficulty, that there was so much to do, but at the same time you felt like you need some more time, you know. That was the main difficulty for me, I think so.
I think what makes our program special is the people. We find really great people who are committed to the development of the country, to the development of our program and our mission. Earlier today, I think you had the chance to interview Sona, and I think she's emblematic of the type of person we're looking for. We're looking for people who have a lot of heart and a lot of brain, who can do really innovative things in the classroom. I would say that that's how we find these people. We have a really fantastic recruitment team who thinks about how do we find these people at universities, in professional circles, how do we leverage our contacts. This year, our recruitment message is, it's your turn. In Armenian, koherne. It's your turn to teach, it's your turn to lead. And I think that message is even more important right now because of the conflict. this year we have 127 teachers placed in 8 marzes, so 8 of the provinces. Over the past 6 years in particular, we've expanded to 8 of the provinces within Armenia. And over the past 3 years, we have been working in Artsakh. In Artsakh, there are approximately 24 out-of-school students currently. We had been reaching about 1,000 students. So as an organization, we were reaching 1 out of 24 of the students who have now been impacted by the conflict. It was important to serve students in Artsakh. We believe that children, regardless of where they're born, deserve access to an excellent education. We believe that a child born into a disputed territory deserves or has the human right to receive an education. And it's important for us to provide an education that fosters peace, that fosters understanding across lines of difference, so that that child can choose peace over hate. So when people ask us, like, why do you place in Artsakh? I would say it's important for us to make sure that all kids have access to opportunity.
Kids, students, they, in general, children, they are very open, right? Especially kids who are living in a nature, like, taking care of their gardens and doing some farming with their parents. They are much more like friendly, if I may say so, and they loved the idea that someone is there in that community who wanted to share their living with them. You know what I mean? So they loved talking to me a lot, and they really felt kind of good that there was someone who would listen to them. Even like the very shy kids, within the time when they saw that there is respect towards them, and that you take what they say seriously, they would be more ready to be closer to you as a teacher and as a friend. They are quite naive, but they were very much ready to take an initiative to do something. They just wanted that strong kind of friendly hand on their shoulders who would believe that they can do it. Yeah. They are not different at all. Kids are kids. They want to live in peace. They want to create. They want to, play together and to learn from each other. So yeah, I guess it's very kind of a universal thing. Kids want just to live in harmony, and as you said, to be in a safe environment as much as it is possible. We generally learn a lot when we move around. I mean, even sitting here, in my mind, I can be there because I have been there, I have lived there. So, the very most important thing that I have learned is that even if you are going away from your place, even if you are new to somewhere, even if you are living there alone by yourself, you as a human being, by your nature, sometimes, people say that we are lonely. I learned that I have never been lonely, and I'm not, and I will not be lonely, because when you are coming across those life experiences, you just understand that anyways you are a part of something. Even if you are physically alone, you are a part of this space, you are a part of someone who you are talking to. You are a part of even yourself, you are not alone. And being a part of something, it's just realizing that responsibility about the place you are living and about the world you have the right to live in. And the word responsibility shouldn't make you be afraid of anything. Even further, you start loving that you are responsible for that part of a very precious and important thing that you are in. That's what I've learned. The second thing, just, even now sitting here, is that very important approach towards education. Education is key to everything. I would say even it's that top thing that should be, that should be for everyone. Because even the health, taking care of yourself, your health, it comes from your education as well. So education needs to be free for everyone. It's a lifelong thing. It's not just for a couple of years or whatsoever, but it's a very crucial thing for a civilized world to go forward. Education, and that's it. And for me, I'm every day thinking, what have I done towards this direction? And the third thing is also very important. I realized that being professional and putting love into what you are doing is very crucial. So professionalism and love within professionalism is the two main cornerstones to success in any field.
Currently, Teach for Armenia is putting together, or we have put together, an initiative called Teach for Peace. Because of the current conflict, we have 24,000 students who are out of school because of the war. We are committed to making sure that our kids who are out of school have access to opportunity. Fortunately, when COVID-19 first started, we launched something called the End the Digital Divide campaign, through which we were able to secure a little under $250,000 in order to purchase tablets. We now have those tablets in our office right now. We are on the verge of sending them out to our communities so that students who are out of school because of the conflict, students on our border communities who've been taking shelter in bomb shelters, as well as students who've been negatively impacted by COVID, they're going to get access to those tablets so that our teachers can resume their lessons on a daily basis. In the long run, we want to continue that effort. We want to think about, if schools remain closed, how can we continue to access students who don't have access to technology? How can we make sure that students are not negatively impacted because of being out of school? We believe that education is a human right, even amid conflict. It's incredibly important that we provide our students with psychosocial support. Study after study is showing that adverse toxic stress, so toxic stress that is experienced over time, can actually reshape our brain, can actually rewire our brain. We're very conscious that with so many students out of school, as an education foundation, we have to focus on the kids. We have to figure out how to provide them with access, even when they're in, say, a resettlement area or in temporary housing. So that's our main focus right now. How can we teach for peace? How can we teach for hope? How can we make sure that the students who've been most affected by the war and by coronavirus are not left without an education?